Hi, I am walking in the neighborhood. I just finished my morning routine, took my microdose, my cocoa, and just walking around a very quiet neighborhood in Pennsylvania. And I was just thinking about a lot of different things that I thought I maybe could start talking about them, and things that come up, especially after my morning routine. After I microdose, I feel that a lot of things start making sense when they otherwise don't, or maybe it's just been sitting there for a long time and they finally start coming up. And I started reading this book called The Dance with Anger, and it's not at all about anger management, but I'll share it in the description, but it's essentially a book about how women can navigate anger when they are in intimate relationships. And it's not always romantic relationships. It can also just be father-daughter, co-worker relationships. And there's a concept there that is talks about how we underfunction and overfunction in relationships. And essentially is the idea that we grow up, or we are conditioned to know our place in relationships. And women are by and large conditioned to be the ego boosters, the helpers of men. And it's not always this way, but by and large, we all know the situation where women are supposed to sacrifice for their relationship, right? We stay at home, we quit our jobs, we change, stay quiet for the sake of the relationship. We take care of our parents, act as as therapists and helpers for everyone else but ourselves. And essentially, it all boils down to deselving ourselves for the sake of others, and that causes a lot of resentment and anger. And this book essentially talks about, like, how do you start navigating and getting out of that dynamic, which is very hard, because it's not just you wanting to get out of a certain relationship. It's that we operate in structures that make it very hard for us to get out of those situations. Why are by and large women secretaries in a startup? Why is by and large women the people that make up HR departments? It's not just us wanting those roles, that's what's available to us. And it just creates a self-perpetuating cycle. And sometimes you don't even realize that you're going through that is the position and the chess piece that you're playing. And for a long time, I didn't think I was, because I was outspoken, and to a certain degree, I was maybe subconsciously trying to fight those dynamics. But it really isn't until you step out, you have to completely step out of where you've lived your whole life to understand what role you're playing. And I think that for me, that happened after a lot of different trips. And I wrote an article recently about what psychedelics do for women, which is very different than what they do for men. I think that not to say that they're not as powerful and they're not as important for men, but I think that a lot of what we read online is stories of how men are experiencing psychedelics. And a lot of it is about what you see when you're out there, right? It's the new frontier. Like, what are you seeing when you do DMT? What does it feel like? And that's exciting, and it's great. It's great storytelling. But I think that speak to any woman who is tripping or has tripped on psychedelics or uses psychedelics consistently as part of their own healing, and you will see that it has nothing to do with the stories that you see when you're not here. It doesn't have to do with the stories that you see or the stories you experience when you are in an altered state. It's about what happens when you come back. And for many of us, what comes back is the self. What comes back is a bare and a honest and an authentic version of yourself. You come back lighter, having stripped away all of the bullshit that humanity has put upon us. And it's not, people talk about this paradigm shift, and people think that you just walk around and all of a sudden things are differently because they are different. But you start seeing different things differently because you are different. And psychedelics for women is a homecoming. It is a feeling that many of us don't have until we go to an altered state of feeling like what we are is enough, and our anger is enough, and it's justified. And understanding that you're not the problem because you're always tired or worn out. It's the problem. The problem is the expectation that is put on you by other people. And people don't talk about that enough. Women are not given a voice on what psychedelics do for them enough. And people talk about integration being so important, and it is. I think integration is the most important part of using psychedelics for any sort of healing or therapy. But it's very different for women. For men, I don't know, I can't speak for that. But I do know that for myself, it has been unloading more than anything else. It's just unloading expectations, unloading stories that I've put in my head. It's unloading versions of myself that I've had to create to survive in this society. And what is left is a version that a lot of people don't like, because they've never seen that version, because all they've seen is stories and costumes that I have had to use to operate in this world. Anyway, I'm going to finish my walk. It's a very peaceful walk. I'm in Pennsylvania, escaped the chaos of New York for a while. And I'll share everything I talked about in the description of this video. All right, bye y'all.